you have a spare gun? I don't even have shoes. Average American logistics conversation in the year 1943. Good thing the 100,000 turkeys arrived on time. Oh yeah. What would we do without our 100,000 turkeys? Imagine not having 100,000 turkeys. What else are you supposed to serve your army with? Meth? While we're on that topic, imagine not having your own ice cream barrage. Basically, it was a single ship that made it to Turkey before Thanksgiving for the troops fighting in Europe. Logistics is honestly the most important aspect of war. Truce on the Western Front versus truce on the Eastern Front. On the Western Front, both sides singing Silent Night, Holy Night. I'm guessing this is during Christmas. Meanwhile, on the Eastern Front, where the freak are those wolves? Avenge me! Oh my goodness, they got Ivan. I didn't know this story, but is anyone truly surprised? The Eastern Front is always crazier in the World Wars. This is year 1, though, of World War I. Apparently, the wolves were such a problem for the Germans and the Russians, they even teamed up at a certain point in the beginning just to fend them off. It's not the wolves' fault, really. They just wanted a good Christmas feast. Ugh. The Soviets learning Western reactors take hundreds of years to match their power output. This is the most ghetto-ish I've ever seen in my life. Imagine not having nuclear reactors that could melt down at any moment. The Americans wish they had this Soviet technology. Chernobyl didn't blow up, it just fulfilled a 5-year plan for energy production in the span of a few seconds. Now that's what I call efficiency. Girls when they get 99 out of 100 on a test. That was a really weird sound effect. Versus boys when they lose 3 wars. Talk about having max aura. They don't even care. Yeah, one of those was the 6-Day War here. Air War, then I tallied 55 Iraqi jets over Korea. Also, I was shot down in Nam after splashing a satellite. Versus Air War, now a balloon. 4 more for an ace. Not quite the same as it used to be, but alright. It kind of makes me sad because I love watching dogfight videos from World War II. Not that I'd want to go back to this or anything, but man, it's never going to be like this again. How people imagine Switzerland in World War II versus Switzerland in World War II. Fire! Doesn't matter who was in their airspace, those planes were about to be removed. Armed neutrality meant firing on any warplane, allied or Axis. I know that's a difficult concept for people to understand, but keep in mind Switzerland was literally surrounded by the Axis, so if they for some reason started favoring the Allies, what do you think would happen to them? Germans only saw their planes being shot down. That would not be a good thing for the Swiss. Plan to invade Cuba and regain control. Don't provide enough support for the invasion. You lost, and Castro is now a national hero. You lost, and Castro's now a national hero? Obviously, the things JFK did during his presidency are kind of overshadowed by what happened to him. Also, remember, yes, there was a small time period where the US did, in fact, control Cuba. I'm sure we definitely regretted letting them go during the Cold War era. I mean, how the hell was 5,000 Cuban exiles gonna retake a whole country? The plan was doomed from the start. I don't know what JFK was thinking with that, or what the CIA was thinking with that. The political career of this man from Bulgaria. I can't wait to finally grow up and rule Bulgaria. Yeah, never gonna happen, kiddo. We're abolishing the monarchy. Aw, dang it. Cut to decades later. And now it's time for the inaugural speech of our 48th Prime Minister. Guess who's back, you commie bastard. This is one of my favorite recent historical stories. A lot of Hearts of Iron 4 players know about this. He was destined to become the Tsar of Bulgaria one day until they abolished the monarchy and he was forced to exile, until he comes back 50 years later after the fall of communism and is elected the Prime Minister of the Republic of Bulgaria in 2001. And he's actually currently the only present living leader from Hearts of Iron 4. Talk about playing the long game. Be Pol Pot. Study in Paris. Experience one of the most advanced and developed metropolises on Earth at the time. Determine that your country needs to become a medieval rural poop hole with no doctors and no engineers. Proceeds to oof millions. What the freak was wrong with this guy? I mean, where do you even begin? Paris does have that effect on people. You know it was bad when their neighbor Vietnam stepped in to stop all the chaos. Latinos when they're losing an argument against other Latinos. I don't have any other alternative. I'll have to show you how much land you've lost. So if you're losing an argument against an Argentinian, you bring up the Falklands. If you're losing against a Mexican, you bring up the Mexican Empire. Approving with this map, of course, the sad story of Bolivia. Don't forget even Grand Colombia. I feel like you're missing like the biggest one, Paraguay. Or does no Paraguayan person just start any arguments because they know what will come up? I mean, I guess going through something as brutal as the War of the Triple Alliance, it makes sense. Ancient history enjoyers be like, after 50 hours, I finally restored the Roman Empire in CK2. Versus ancient history enjoyers then, in ancient Greece, let me not then die ingloriously and without a struggle, but let me first do some great thing that shall be told among men thereafter. Oh, he's quoting Homer here. Shakespeare to a modern day Greek person. And here's that Greek independence fighter. What language is that? Oh, yeah, just still chill out with that stuff, British aristocrats. This feels like a literal, like, simp moment from history in a way. He literally said, "Milady," trying to impress this Greek, and this guy had no idea what the hell he was talking about. Apparently, ancient Greek and modern Greek are quite different, which shouldn't be surprising for any English speakers out there. Just read Shakespeare. What the hell does this stuff even mean? But Clement II was only 21 years old when he took Constantinople. He had 80,000 troops, 62 cannons against 7,000 men in an ancient crumbling city. The freak you think you was gonna happen. That's an interesting perspective. I never looked at it like that, Byzantium. Good point. Also, like, literally no support from anyone else in Europe. Crazy, we're still arguing about this battle that took place over 500 years ago. Historians, when they see an unmarried person from history, he was a closeted homosexual. Man, the pendulum swings fast. Wasn't that long ago where they would always just say, oh, this person was his roommate. Now, they're all gay. Good point. What if he was just really ugly? Have you seen just a couple historical leaders? I feel bad for that one. I like George Washington. But he did have wooden teeth apparently and was like kind of gross. You don't understand. We had to seize absolute power for the good of the revolution. What if the people decided to do anti-revolutionary things? We can't just give up power and leave the country in the hands of idiotic masses. Yes, you can. George Washington moment. Love the oversimplified character here. Almost everyone at this time wanted George Washington to continue to be the first president of America, but he decided to just resign anyways, which basically was like the most based thing ever. Ended up just going back and living on his farm. Even King George III, leading the British, said he would be the greatest man in the world if he surrendered his power like that. It was arguably one of the most important decisions ever, because we could have accidentally just become like a de facto dictatorship or monarchy even. It's 1929. Can we have an income tax? Asks the U.S. state of Washington. Not to be confused with the guy before. This is the territory of Washington. No, responds this building. 1931. Now that very same building be asking, can we have an income tax? No, responds this state of Washington executive. 1933. Can we have an income tax? Asks again the state of Washington. No, responds the seal of the Supreme Court. 1934. Can we have an income tax? No, says Washington. 1935. Can we have an income tax, please? No. 1936. Can we have an income tax, please? No. 41. Tax now. Income, please. No. 51. Can we have an income tax? Asks this guy from the executive department of the state of Washington. No. What the 69. Income tax, please. What do you think he's gonna say? Oh, what a surprise. 73. Can we have an income tax, please? To be fair, they're not saying please, so maybe that's why they're saying no. How long is this gonna go for? Can we have an income? I don't even know if I can keep on going. 88. Can we have income tax? Oh, they got 2 no's there. Oh my goodness. Can state, please, income. Again, 2 no's. 2002. Tax, income, please. I thought we'd finally get a yes, but it's a no. Wow, that was a long one. I should have known it was only no's. I did realize that Washington has no state income tax, but man, have they wanted it for a long time. Whether demanded by popular referendum, the governor, or the legislator, the state of Washington has failed to pass an income tax of any kind for almost over a century. I review maps like this literally all the time, so that's why it was already in my head. Would like to live in a state that does not have state income tax. However, Washington still found a way to make some money anyways, because this state tends to be at the top part of most tax places in the country. Of course, it really depends on who you are, what you do, businesses, all that stuff, but this has it as the 5th most tax, and that's without an income tax. They're doing it in other ways. Really loved that brief history. The Republic of China is circa 1930s. On one side, we have warlords. On the other, we have communists. And of course, let's all not forget about the Japanese. Literally fighting this all at the same time. China was absolutely in chaos. During their rule on the mainland, the ROC had to fight warlords to unite the country, fend off the Japanese invasion, and a communist insurrection was also going on. Of course, they did eventually end up teaming up to defeat the Japanese, but then the Chinese Civil War just re-began right after that. Obviously, the ROC was not going to win out on the mainland. Meanwhile, in South Asia, circa 1947, the British disappear. Meanwhile, Pakistan and India immediately just start fighting. I mean, what else were they really going to do? And it's been like that for some time now. Painfully oversimplified, but yes. Those ones hurt. How often the British gonna do this? Just disappear from region and then chaos commences. Some European guy drawing a border that will cause decades-long conflicts and oof millions of people. You know he's thinking he's writing absolute fire though. Definitely he's imagining himself out here basically writing it like this. To be fair, for a lot of these areas, I don't think there are any borders you can draw that you know, wouldn't cause it to be chaotic. You're just trying to cause the least amount of chaos as possible. And obviously this guy did not accomplish that, but okay. The pen is mightier than the sword. Napoleon on St. Helena thinking about his fallen empire. I think about this all the time. Can you imagine what must have been going through his head? Well, I guess a lot of the world was kind of thinking about what was going through his head, hence all the memes about there's nothing we can do. Imagine practically ruling the world and then having to just sit there in your loss for years until you die. Just reflecting on what went wrong, what you could have done, what you wish you did. Oh man, that would have just driven me crazy. He had to live like this for 6 years on the island. He likely spent the rest of his life replaying every strategic decision he ever made, trying to see where he could have done better. Me who overthinks when I have one awkward social interaction. Big ol' thanks to my patrons. Drew's Argentinian grandpa. Lucas, the Canadian Goose from Avoca.
Drew har förvisats från Sverige för brottet att vara dans.
Amateur Archaeology. Sarsath. Carmel Saida. DaBeautiful-MEGAN-Underwood. Fredrik Tibblin. Your dad back with the milk. Look out, InquisitorXarius. Sebby, if you hear this, and Tambre.